Fambulu Nokusha and welcome to a special edition of Phones Page where they come to Uno Live na AYV Television, Channel 33, na radio on FM 101.7, and you can also watch the program from the mobile app and save na Facebook on AYV News. Me, where they bring the program come to you, me, your name na Marina Tay. Phones Page, they come to Uno 11 a.m. from Monday to Friday, and inside this program, we review and analyze to them findings and seeing them we don't happen from different parts of the country within our different local newspaper them across the country. Well, family today we guest them na Solomon Sundu, social analyst, and Melvin Mansaray, a political analyst. Family member say the views of we guest them, not to the views of AYV, as we can just bring them here for letting say for more small issues them where they happen at the country. Now, for start the program, let we begin with we own AYV newspaper. We cost 2 Leones, and you can get them in any parts of the country. Now, the AYV newspaper headlines and say June 24th election results are reflective of voters' expression. ECSL's Commissioner Mohammed Kone tells President Bio as he presents certificate of return. And also, the right man for the right job, getting to know the incredible Chernobyl. President Bio's newly appointed Minister of Information and Civic Education. And Honorable Mohammed Bangura is on the right side of history. Former APC National Spokesman Cornelius Oguntola Melvin reaffirms. And on the Independent Observer newspaper, it says Speaker criticized international observers, and 129 candidates pass NPSE. And also it says, who is the first female sports minister? And on the exclusive newspapers, it says, Bio calls Samara. And also, let's put Salon first. And girls' education continues to soar in Sierra Leone, topping performing candidates, girls 8, boys 3. And on the Awoko newspaper, it says Moridin unveils secrets to NPS's success. And the Chancery building deemed unfit for habitation reveals first accused. And lets children choose HRCSL Director of Education advocate for an end to FGM tradition. And also fake police inspector apprehended by Sierra Leone police. And on the Satellite newspaper headlines, it says, to strengthen bilateral relationship, Chief Minister designates engage EU boss. And as ECSL boss confirms election results are reflective of voters' expression, President Bio receives certificate of return from Chief Electoral Commissioner. APA hails SLP for providing level playing field. And on Awareness Times newspaper headline says, during the 2018 to 2023 Fifth Parliament, SLPP APC MPs teamed to pass 829 instruments, and HEBO gets certificate of election as ECSL says presidential results reflect voters' wishes. And Hungary congratulates President Bio with more EU nations to follow, says presidential spokesman. An effective collaboration brings about positive change, Deputy UNDP rep. And on Standard Times headlines, it says, we came to kill you, Justice Ganda testifies. And complaints against Foreign Ministry, IPRP concludes investigation. And on Concord Times newspaper, it says, House Speaker cheats international community, and disability community demands inclusion in governance. And also President Bio receives a certificate of return from Chief Electoral Commissioner, and EMTech releases its Web3 enabled central banking digital currency innovation kit for fintechs. And on Global Times, it says, what does the APC really want? President Bio receives certificate of return from ECSL chairman. And New York Chancery building corruption, accused testify in defense. And Jabez Rogers Wright hails Apex International. And on the AZ newspaper, it says HRCSL, FAHP engage stakeholders on the strategy to reduce FGM. For transforming sector, SLPP grassroots hails outgoing Tourism and Cultural Affairs Minister, and His Excellency BO receives ECSL certificate of return from the Chief Electoral Commissioner, and Chancery building was unfit for habitation. Well, Fambul, like I say, we get Melvin Mansaray and Solomon Sundu. We get them today. Melvin, before we delve into the election results, let we talk small about the appointment of President BO. We see say this time around we get plenty young people and more so women them, you know, we don't get now in governance. Let we talk about Chernobyl. Waiting now you take based on the appointment as Minister of Information and Civic Education.
Well, firstly, as a young person, I think say I will join you for let me tell thank you to the president for factoring not only Chernobyl but other young people like David Senge. Chernobyl, I know I'm from the term, well, incidentally, I think if you live around Lumley or Wilkinson Road, and those days we used to run a school bus. I know I'm as somebody we've been there with, is it youth and child, some kind of youth or
Yakan. Something Yakan, yes.
Yakan, right?
Yes,
from those days of Yakan, and during his schooling days, he was an advocate for peace and uprightness. And of course, even when he go to university also, he was a champion there. Basically, I think that one young man maybe don't prepare himself for disappointments. Looking at the international role that we don't play also, as young person, we don't work around the Commonwealth and other global bodies. I think he gets the knowledge, the prerequisites qualification first, academically he gets them, and also the global or the geopolitical experience. However, the downside of it will be, yes, you are having a civil society background, you are an advocate, but when it comes to communication, it's a specialized area.
Actually, Nadande, I'll be one for ask you, because a lot of people, when they talk about SIBA, they know I'm from that, you know, advocates level, that feminism and all of them. And do you think saying are the right person, you know, for this particular position?
I suppose for look some of their CVs over the weekend, yes, and definitely I will look for some of the academic qualification if he gets anything directly related to that. But that not being said, I'm jealous because I'm a journalist, I'm a communications person. Of course, if anything is doing around communication, you need a specialist because like you get agriculture, like you get health, information and communication is a specialized sector. But having said that, I will be limited also because I'm not privy to his CV. But looking at his CV, I know he has got the clouds. Whether he's media friendly or not, an advocate is always media savvy. It's expected to be media savvy, but it's different when you are there as the leader. You'll be interacting with industry experts. You get for the meet professionals, and how you meander your way through all of them. And they, firstly, for let you forget a cordial relationship with them. Secondly, for let you know overdo things with them is something you have to look out. So, yes, in terms of civic, of course, advocating for women and girls is part of a civic advocacy. Advocating for youth, children, those are all part of what should be encompassing in the civic curriculum, in my expectation. So I'm not feeling say we get problem on that area of civic and making Sierra Leone. But itself, not for feel say it's a be all team in that, because civic also now is specialized area, and if you watch, we don't send the whole go school, by then they not be in a curriculum again. So you need for orientate yourself, and of course you need for collaborate with other institutions like the commission itself for making sure that it come up to date with what they don't do and get the right message. But the only aspect there is, of course, you have to ask it now in relationship with the media, because when you now advocate, it's different from when you now power holder. Advocate now talk normal, you talk, you have limited powers. But when you are holding power, how you deal with the media? Also talk normal, you can talk. You have to get a good media strategy, media and communication strategy, and that strategy there for all encompassing, considering the new media, the newspaper, the television, and other sectors within so you need to forget the strategy around that, and that's where the specializations come into play. But as a young person, I don't think I will get doubt say it will deliver, especially if he puts himself down for land it's in there in Osabi quick and try to be very strategic, like what David Senge do by introducing new flavor?
Regarding David Senge, we definitely can to that because yesterday from a Facebook post, we saw a take a picture of the study, you know, the new role where they don't get him as a chief minister. But I want to ask you the same question. What now you take based on the appointment of Chernobyl as the Minister of Information and Civic Education?
Yeah, I think, for me, as we all know, they always talk around appointments of young people. We congratulate them. We join on with them for support them, for succeed and succeed in the new dispensation. Bad on the civil society landscape for quite too long.
And just for make a quick correction, sorry, Solomon. So basically, Melvin, not for Yakan, na CFN, Children's Forum.
Thank you
very much. Just for make a correction.
So I just want like a day from Children's Forum network. They will see, I think, purposeful, yes. All of them. And we don't meet so many fora. It's a colleague. I believe, the question where you throw to Melvin, let's start for deal with the young man in business, young people generally. Young people, I believe, this time around, we advocacy around, because now the advocates, just like we always say, now we can come, now then platform, now we can sit down our offices and the rights for young people should be included in governance. May we see there not for praise and waiting, because for far too long, they say, young people are the future leaders of today. Me know they say tomorrow. Because if you want to be the future leader of tomorrow, not today you prepare yourself. Just like we see me brother talk about it don't depend this thing, like which we all do. Patiently, they go alongside, they doing work successfully. But now like where you don't they talk for something, now you will be the advocate for policies. You will be the advocate for letting things be done. Now you don't do now the seats of policy driving. So a different form, like way with the talk say let happen. Now you did it now for let happen. You understand, eh? So you know the policy formulator, right? You now you derive the policies. Anything where they in tangents with information, civic. Now you they drive them policies and they go in parliaments. Now you know the head. You articulations around dancing a day, you get for be vital, you get for be proactive, like we always say, as a young person, the expectation is high. Because not to follow you go sit down there, we get so many young people and we they na the line. Waiting the president don't do so. I believe that for let send the signal. Me, I can't follow build the human capacity, just like what they about education. But for let we start and me say we start. Let us take the drive. Then we don't did it for take that drive, especially on the information side. For the past years, we don't see who side information may look dormant somehow. With me and my brother okay meet up at times, if you want for say, no, yes, then get the strategic communication units and get this. But we all see why some of you will get that burden. For can sit down and talk about government policies, we wait to talk. We don't happen. Me in Kidena Parliament. Whether they talk about the Jewish bills, whether they talk about them bills. With the day they will see exactly how it happen. If it happen, for example, like where they speak about the talk say they pass parliament, then pass over how many or 80% of the bills then pass loan bills, then pass all of them bills and then a parliament. Now we for come back and tell people and say this area of mines, we don't effect for mining for quite too long. That 1.10% we don't get her now. We not for talk because if we not talk it means the work where we do, it's not a show light. And this not to the world. Let people understand civil society, the role, we work with governments, but we need to work for government. So we call it where they now, a role, now for let able for bring that synergy, that information will be the hide. Thing that within government be they do, right? More especially we saying now on information side, get for deal with the media. And as we always say, we are friends. Now the same, status we all get. Media, civil society. So you not for be like somebody way for antagonize yourself with them kind of people in there. What if for they do now? The synergy, the strategy between the civic. We all see the Maui the head civic for now, we na Totange. We see the role then, they don't bring civic back na the curriculum. Maybe not be fortunate. We fortunate for see civic. Civic na school, na don't make beaucoup things don't lack na this country because they be dropping. So we glad where President Bill came, he introduced that civic, you understand, and by God in grace.
Do civic na school say war come back home.
At the camp, what's that say?
Nobody do civic before the war.
No, wait, now before the war they say.
Oh, well, so why what caused the war?
So what at the camp? What causes the war?
Go ahead and make it.
No, what causes the war? It means there were bad governance. There were governance that were not pleasing to people. Where will they come up? We know exactly what's going to happen.
So what causes bad governance?
Bad governance. Well, then they
it's bad civic.
Bad civic education.
Well, I know it's not bad civic. At that time, no. Let me tell you, bad governance at that time. The governance
or not
that
proper civic education.
No, civic education was there. But let me tell you, the bad governance at that time, where government, I'm coming, where government does not respect education. So you understand it? That is the crux. Who say government don't respect education? At this country, don't they? People they say after all education are privilege, not to your rights. It not sound like now when are you right? Not to privilege you. What's in there we pass President Bitewi, they say not to we rights, not privilege. No, education are everybody in rights by our constitution, everybody for be educated from one point to another point. So what's it talks say the civic, it be there, but bad governance not good.
Solomon, the conversations in plenty.
Yes.
But, before I go to another topic, Melvin Wobmot small based on which
on still checking up
yes.
with all being said about him, I think we need to be again skeptical a bit. Firstly, we need to understand what nine mandates, what nine terms of reference as a new ministry, waiting at the administrative and management setup, and of course, what will be the budget allocated to
you don't think say too soon for together?
It's not too soon because if the president not envision them now, in the get a task for take up.
But I believe say this position or appointments come to unawares, you know, so it not go be too easy for let just put all them things together.
So this is what he needs to know, not for the praise no more. They can praise and say left.
No, not praise them. We not the praise them. We don't say praise. Not to praise. Wait a while, we all different, all deviate from praising. Okay. When they try for, put them on in tools.
Exactly.
In tools mean waiting exactly if I can do, not to waiting.
Okay, let me allow Melvin to just
since the new ministry, the point of that the country come from beginning, from nothing. So you get a duty for can establish structure. This is an institution. You have to talk about staff recruitment. We have to look at the area and day. You have to get departmentalization of this ministry. What I have can do and waiting all get for do with in terms of getting the right competencies, office space. So this office get for day. We get for all nothing all get for no of course how this new ministry get for work with departments and agency we call integration or disintegration. We get for see bundling or unbundling because if not we'll get conflicts of operations or conflicts of like I say, rolling out their operational mandates and things like that. So for me, that's again the legal ambience you need to be looked at, and of course, definitely for me, the downside of having us as young people in some of this position, many people don't like this. When you're a young man, you brag, you post. Now it's in say no more you get for the do.
Okay.
So it will be a matter of
Melvin, another interesting appointment. I use the word interesting because a lot of people not be actually they look forward to that now the appointment of David Senge as the chief minister. You know when they actually appoint him. A lot of people would still be there emphasize, say, why they not go just left me, let maintain being the Minister of Education because you don't try that side. What now you take based on this? Because the role of a chief minister, it varies and it entails a lot, He serves as the leader of the Council of Ministers. He also serves as the head of state of government and the chief legislator. Like I say, it entails a lot. And just yesterday, like I mentioned earlier on, we still say they try to go through the manual of being a chief minister for like be familiar with, waiting is supposed to do in a new office.
I think say if we get David Senge and type another hyper because I can talk the other side, but I'll begin the good side first. If we get David Senge and type as ministers, at least in 10 strategic ministries, it'll change. First, I come to the first point, so people say, why don't left her as basic education minister? Me and one person, Fambule, when I go to the records, we first begin predict, say, this guy is competent to be the chief minister. Why? Because it brings a visible change where everybody now they use ash code for it. So that was just for a ministry, one ministry. And what we need? We need the total overhauling or digitalization of the public sector, particularly ministries, departments, and agencies. Having David Senge, it's my expectation that he will first bring data into the business of government ministries, departments, and agencies. It will bring digitization, it will bring innovation, and of course, it will bring things that will not be needed. So I think saying that then can't wait, and they may feel, say the president may think, say yes, this man, in idea a big pass here, like can supervise. So for me, that's the good thing about him, and definitely, no matter what you say, me I expect him for deliver. And what he don't start with, like I said the last time, they be saying, I mean, 100 days me the game for sweating the couch new. Sincerely, firstly, we don't prove and say, not to that camera with the canon, if you say Sabi, it is studied in a net. If you're not supposed to be biblical, it says study to show that it's self-approved. Some of what is students are asked, not because Sabi all team, because we make effort for one for Sabi all team. Yeah. So if that man they first for Sabi, what I look forward to again, you don't read all the manuals. I want for see waiting at the handing over notes where JJ Safari left for her. Because we need to know why JJ Safari left that ministry. Okay. Firstly, seeing the handing over notes, but what is significant way it do with one of the papers that they carry, where I think that is an advancing, because we don't talk necessarily is that of his meeting with the EU boss. That shows this guy understands that the country needs some sanity.
Yeah, because we still say engage the EU boss.
Now, Paul moved Andy. By right now, President, before they do Andy. So he is now going there to soften the ground. Mind you, this guy is Western-oriented. He knows what diplomacy is around, despite he has been in the classroom, but not a Munku. This is not a Munku politician. You cannot call David Senge a Munku politician. Not a technocrat. He's not also a technocrat. He is between technocrats and intellectual. He is between. Not a Thomas Bookman. A book, it brings into practicality. It's like, I would call him Aristotle-like. It practicalizes what he knows. So that is it for that. But for me, in meeting, I want for Lo to do more on that. Lo will try to do some analysis as to what we are talking about. If not, I will tell you, this is the man already who will be doing all the minister's job if they fail to do it. And we are in. I hope he will get the courage for correct them back, or President Bio will get the support for correct them people and if they not they perform. But definitely that's the best thing. Best news so far this week.
The meeting been there around strengthening states, institutions, and also for recognize the robust institutions, them we na the bedrock of a thriving society.
What are these institutions? I mean, can they name a few of them? ECSL is ECSL. ECSL is one big state institution. The judiciary, is it part of them? What institutions are they talking about? Because this is quite important. The EU is funding a lot of governance programs here in Sierra Leone. Let's not lose sight of that fact. So if they put money from Boku in there and they cannot evaluate, first do for tell God thank you, yes, that we get minister where they go sit on day. That's yes, EU, despite pretty happy with the election and all glad, but yet still, then they meet with two governments. So it means that there is room for settle the already way to say not so good situation between. If you look one newspaper now, it says speaker blast. We're not timely at all. I think so waiting they be saying that they do so now we need for restore donor confidence, international partners confidence, and just open dialogue.
And for maintain peace, actually.
And for maintain peace too. So for me, I think say that the best news is so far where David Senge undertake in first 1 or 2 weeks in office, although yet to be confirmed as a minister, chief minister designate. Now then kind minister we want to really understand the time and here for. I hope he convey the right message, and I hope the EU self go for willing for listening to him. And I hope the contentious issues around the election and in demerits also will be amicably addressed.
Okay, so what's your opinion based on Andy?
Well, for me, we just stay within young people. David Senge don't prove himself for be one of the young person, even not so youth my again, but young person. Outside and Senam, of course, we don't talk.
You don't pass 35.
We don't talk more than the long term. They were saying they don't pass 35. So, wow. So now young man now. So what would they say? What would they say? They were saying appointments now a blessing in disguise for the country. That ministry day we don't handle now. I don't talk here for say I see like President Bill 140. I even mentioned, say, like, we in us, it projects the results of the June 24th. If they be saying, sit down at State House, that ministries, departments, and agencies coordinating units and get them. Also, budgets them and will be given to ministries, departments, and agencies. But the control of policies, the implementations of them projects in there. I believe say this time not to boku talk one for year. Now, Usai now, if they don't give you, for example, 10 billion for undertake a project, they will send enroll na monitoring. You know, one for some politicians now they come out from that archaic business for the threatening people with language. Which you sabi, but again, na political talk they use rather than use the sabi talk. Use the sabi talk, use the experience, don't let go talk about David Senge, NPSC result na you don't come also. As you don't, me order bobo, we still don't know more pap. He say, I get 320. I say, wow. We not pay nothing. We not pay scratch card. We not go pay nothing.
At least you don't lessen the burden.
These are the innovations. These are the things that we talk about. Say, a good for the country. If somebody like this, me, elect to me, yeah, if my election no more, what I would have come take 10 kind man for make less salon better. Because me own fet now follow salon can for so salon for better. So enroll, especially that meeting we don't begin get with international partners. Like nobody not tell you say we not forget meeting with them. And with international partners then, what thing David Senge do, like for example the EU, they are development partners. They fund we and so many things. We bridges them. We up countries. So many things and they would talk about bridges and they would don't launch now the EU. But it doesn't mean if something go wrong, we not go sit down back and talk them. Rather than can sit down with hype. No election all day in the world we 100% credible. Even they talk the United States of America as we speak, the election day to distribute but in the court. One of the things we are they say, let we politicians in land now for do the practical thing like we talk about David Senge. If you know say there is something against the wishes of you or your electorate, don't not take the law now we hand. You know, we can forget how the secret remedy. Like for me, all the things that happen now, EU this, EU no want that. Yes, we are a sovereign state. We in a country where we self able for say no, we not there.
But we are donor-dependent nation.
Yes, so I make now, in as much as we are donor-driven countries, it don't mean say we not for do the right thing back. It don't mean say back, therefore can't sit down back, then can't tell we for do we back waiting for no. We're not there now that kind of thing.
Based on the credibility of the election we did talk about, I just want to follow we can now to the conversation wherein we still say the ECSL Commissioner Mohammed Kenwa Kone, presents, certificate of return to His Excellency the President, Julius Maada Bio. This whole election don't come with a lot of, kuskas, if I can put on that way, the opposition parties still they talk say they're not satisfied, with the outcome of the results, and plenty other issues than we did around, the aftermath of the election. How did the election results, reflect voters' attitude and some the other issues then, regarding the elections?
Marina, now we can consider before this election, before this time, some of who they traversed within the country. When they can't see no more within Freetown, they talk something we're not correct. For me, this election, from all indications, if you look at the oppositions, who side and starts of boycotting so many issues, the way surrounding national issues will lead to elections because you cannot fatten the pig on the market today. Election is starts one day. From the moment, and this is the first day we read and declare election 1 year, 6 months.
Like you say, election an event.
Thank you. So the events, you get for take part of the events. Events say, go train. Me get for do 100 meters. You say get for do 100 meters. Me go train every day. You come, you left. Me I get for beat Solomon. You feel say you go beat me by that. So me go train every day. I dey consolidate my own me energy every day. You don't go beat me by that. So I make with the say, let this be a learning point. What's going to happen from 2022, right? It's taken from the laws then around the elections. We are not there yet. Nothing is perfect about elections. Now I make recommendations, they can. We all wait till we see during this election. We need to put some paper. They think the way good and the one the way not good and waiting for B. Now that kind of thing the ECSL every year they encourage, we always observe for bring down their recommendations in there so that we're going for improve on the 2028 elections. All anything and they will don't see way for big parts. We go take them. But waiting we for do, including me with Sidoya. If somebody go against me, I go seek remedy. Even though the opposition, they talk, say the court, the judiciary, they don't get hope and trust in them. For me, I don't want to let them do so. It don't happen at Ghana. We see Usai, this current president, Usai Ede is Sidom, they go into elections with Mahama beats them, but it take in issue in a court, then come, then verify, then call ECSL, all seeing it be there on open, they not reverse the election. Oh. But what they do, they bring come electoral reforms, because the courts they get rights for do them thing in there. Not to police, not to go to police, but the courts they get right for say, una elections, like waiting the opposition they so. And before una go into elections, oppositions, all the other parties then forget the voters registration, blah, 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 then forget them. For example, we go project results on so, if it be part of the law. Now the law, court some get right for do them. Then, what's in the opposition for do be part of the governance process. Now, like you na fish, you didn't water, the water become turbulent, it become trouble. You say for come inside water, you can't live in a land. In case that water they come, then you want to go inside. Now, like the opposition, you're not a politician. You have to be part of the process. Because the reason why we talk so, already in the ECSL, they do so now. Now, the legitimacy after elections, when I go hand over and tell the presidency, now this, now this, now this, now this, now the legitimate, now the rights, now you don't do so. Okay. We go into the constitution. So, Marina, it's very serious. So, let the opposition come into the play, be part. Now, that's a way former president be in a parliament with 25 to 27 parliamentarians. Then be able for dislodge, I'm not going to say dislodge, the 85 parliamentarians at that time, where within a parliament, there are voices, you understand, in any policies. Then Yerian, President Kuruma at that time, if they seek for can gets power. At the end of the day, they're over waiting, they can't have power. And I was saying I want to get 54 members of parliament. We're able for challenge issue. We're able for make the electoral laws and now they make so the reforms. If we're not in a parliament, it will be okay. But we're not going to say because the election don't go this way or we're not going to bring camp conditions in. Let's talk to Una, please. Una can't join governance. Una can't join governance. APC, come and join governance. The reason why I'm saying this, let people don't know they look at the APC as that long time APC, that tradition. We don't reforms. We don't do constitutional changes. We don't come up and selection. Now the democratic process now it takes to. But this particular one, and not they in line with democratic tendencies. For say, if me, una not give me rest, I know go eat again.
We go definitely can follow me to final submission. But Melvin,
yes.
Still, with the aftermath of the election, plenty of organizations and don't come forward for we talk about peace and all of that. And same way, so people and on they talk say Sierra Leone slowly move into a one-party state, and also they not see Usai, the former president and his Kuruma, and people from the APC congratulates, the president, based on a re-election. And what are some of the major political issues them or campaign themes them, we happen during the election period?
Taina, thank you very much. You don't shift me off my guard, but I'll answer the question. Okay, I'll come back to my script. Some of the contemporary issues, mistrust in public institutions, some of them, the rise in ethno-regional division, the rise in awareness on the need for gender empowerment. That could have been that's a positive issue for that election. Of course, we've seen an emerging trend with that of the outright involvement or subtle involvement of the international community in the governance architecture. They've been there, but this time they are a bit much more amplified in their vocal criticism. So I think that's it. I mean, the issue of the cabinet also being whether it's inclusive, it's gender sensitive, but that cannot be said as inclusive because we need to look at the ethno-regional inclusion of the people and with the day. And of course, somebody just writes about what about the disabled. So I don't see nobody with disability. President Bio, perhaps you need a disability advisor, but better if you don't sack some of the advisor than they because they take Bokupa the money of the country. And well, generally, I think another issue that they don't emerge after the election. Of course, there are several other issues that will go away, but the biggest issue is that disagreement over whether the result is an insult or assault to the democracy of Sierra Leone. We're at the point now for Cam.
Okay.
Somebody say elections are an event. I beg for differ. Elections, they're not so
Actually,
events.
Mr. say so.
Elections, not so events.
Well, why
elections,
you say events, it starts the points.
Election, na process.
Yeah, but now, go to the process.
No, there's a difference between an event. They can be related. I mean, elections, they na process. And I make you see before we do election, we get arguments over boundary delimitation, census data. So that's why they say elections are cyclical. They are pre, during, and post. So if you say it's an event and you limit a number only on elections day, you might get it wrong in contextualizing all its meanings. So, of course, but why now? That na the ECSL, the story where they review Tarina. ECSL, they go present certificates, right? That news there, I don't know what they use, but for me, interesting that election be done, and now people and some of people they say now let's sleeping dogs lie, and now once more again, election is coming back on the news agenda. And if we want to talk about election, there are so many unpleasant truths we will not for turn blind eye to. One of which is why ECSL is still not able to bring us a breakdown of polling stations results, a breakdown. Will not be a contention, not only from the main opposition, but other political parties. And it's good you make mention of moving where our country is almost slipping into a one party. And not totally be the case it, but with PMDC don't say back, they know they take part, it means say we are seeing a gravitation towards that. So ECSL, definitely, they're not able to tell me why there's so much delay during that election day. They're not able to tell me why there are challenges then they're not able to tell me in terms of the process itself, financial aspects of it, because if ECSL is then challenge, ECSL say the government service say these elections we are 99 or over 90% funded by the government and people of Sierra Leone. It shocked me for that land that the 92 worker then we power election undone for almost week now. Take the ECSL not pay them. And nobody asks ECSL question and do, but we focus on new. So my question on that I always don't say, if we say new not credible, according to some professors then from abroad, why we not use the same methodology then they and approach it, so ask ECSL for can explain to we.
Well, fortunately for we been actually get George now so this morning from ECSL, and we asked on that particular question, and my colleagues them been getting this morning.
So what he say?
And they asked on that particular question, and then say they actually they on the process, you know.
Then they on the process, but you don't give one man certificates, so you don't see what's in the ECSL problem. My brother, hold on, patient.
After elections, under the section 32,
you are referring to the law. Are you sure that what they've done in certifying is in conformity with the timelines of the provisions of the Public Elections Act of 2022? When you talk about the law, please be guided, because you need to be very sacrosanct as to the fact. But let me learn. You make you are for jam me. So let me ECSL 92,000 workers stating and not pay the aid. We will not say government. We don't say they don't give them but cook up now. ECSL can't tell we say how now Irish aid UNDP for pay. So would have fund the election, almost would have put then post-election is and they will for look at. And also of course that certification they means say now the president is democratically certified as elected. But that is not to say that he is not that has not got contention and arguability. Because as it stands, we see one party saying another take part. So for me, in summary on that, ECSL might be following the law, but from waiting me don't come for land of late as I grew up, not to always illegal, legitimate. A case study, now that of apartheid. Apartheid was legal in South Africa, but that doesn't make it legitimate. So ECSL might present certificates making it legal as per provisions of the law, but that is not in any way not to say there are not issues around legitimacy. So that's my honest submission.
Okay, so before Solomon, they give you opinion about that, I still want to emphasize on the fact that, say, election are an event, simply because there are by-elections, there are local elections, and also presidential elections. But Sulu just...
so don't avoid Melvin, it's a process. I agree with Sam. The process they lead to an event. I tell you now, they say, if me and you they go pan sport, I they train every now and then, you know they train. Okay, it means thank you. But that's Creole itself. It's not an English show. That's simple Creole itself for let people down there understand.
Okay,
now, like what we talk about legitimacy. Always, I want to make, we were, if we hype, you know, other countries them go they look at we say, them people here, how they hype elections so like now waiting. Now the processes around elections, now they will talk about them. Now how them for their intelligence with the law. Wait till they talk now. What the ECSL do? Now they all they do. And when they talk about institutional independence, when they talk say institutions then for strong, then for go by them work and do their work. Melvin, if ECSL no go do the certification, what's else? Whether I lap the time, whether not 2 days, whether not 3 days, whether not 4 days, yes, hold on, it will reach a point. Now I can tell you, say, you know why are the vex Marina where people need to take issues na court? Nowadays, saying they take issue na court, today we all enjoy them, right? Why we no go learn before we do it? Like I want for see Simon Melvin Sido one day, we take issue na court, we follow them for salon. So that's then we're able to do them kind of thing. Now that make me they say, we they beg we own brother them, do ya democratic issues, anything way surrounding elections, right? Only the law now able for say me, you, and everybody in a salon. If that law then they will not challenge them, it not go work for we fine. So what's in ECSL do, now then constitutional mandate now then do, whether there are issues around elections, I said earlier, all over the world, there are always issues. Look, Kenya. Kenya, we get parallel governments at a point. Uhuru Kenyatta and Lara Odinga. What they do, this they saw himself, this they saw himself. But at the end of the day, the courts, they went, they evaluate, and bring in, you know, advices and other things to be added to their laws. So now that's a one for law we they take as a challenge. Okay, then say if you feel dissatisfied with the result, you get days and wait for take the political party na court. All and they don't pass so. So for me, we don't still pass for make we able correct we laws them. Be part of the process. As we say, you're not going for be one party states. Me and Melvin we sit on, including you, Marina, we not green for layer become one party state. Because we all don't see what one party don't do in this country. All the two they talk now. Let people learn for respect the democratic norms there. Believe you me, this election for be one of the most peaceful elections. But because we hype on too much, we make it so much tensionable, we make as if we institutions in this country, we not say they're good. We still need more room, especially for the ECSL. That is why when Senge meets with the EU boss for do institutional reforms, now that's once. Let let them become credible. For me, I always say, me mentor na Obama, and they say we don't need giants men or strong men. Me they say we don't need elephants men or lion men in our institutions. We need people and we go by the dictates of the law. And then laws and they let the law govern all institutions and operate with some, not to all the way there, like our constitution there, you in a government, now you the constitution in favor. You the outside, the constitution not there for you, not to that kind of thing. Also, do you have a big? We saying down there under. Let it urge President Bio, law do reforms. This is constitution how they talk about. Boku in the constitution as a political party where they outside, it not a favor you at all. But when you there inside, now you get all things. I make it there. You say the winners take all because all it's in there inside the constitution. You ain't a power the executive. Now you get boku stake. Do ya? Let we do that one day for we all. And also, Melvin talk about something very important. We the organizations them. We know to the rule for can begin challenge. If one challenge result, go na court. Go to the court.
So you know right for challenge.
They get right, but go to the court.
So it is.
But not for now project you go project. Other people in projects. They not say they not get right. Where you get right, not to streets or for sets of the country ablaze. Go to court. The court ain't gonna give you. Hold on. The court ain't gonna give you if new. We are all, I mean, they are our colleagues. We are in the group that we argue ourselves. No. The courts don't not say we not get Melvin are then a court. We get issue in a court.
Solomon.
Yes, sir. I want to tell you, say
no, the court. Let's just come quickly to Melvin. In any way, this election results indicates any form or any pattern of protest voting or anti-incumbent sentiment. If so, what's not some underlying issues then?
Yeah, you asked me the academic question there. Of course, we need to carefully study the wholesome results. And they are begged for differ with some of the election observers, the immediate report them when them pull. Because of, we not wait for particularly the local council election. I think all of us, we are hasty to conclude that, oh, then don't work. Because we really believe, say, with the reintroduction of the PR, we foresee oddities, we foresee rare outcomes. But that as it may, if you look at the all elections, putting the presidential, the parliamentary, and the local councils, of course, there are trends where, of course, you don't say, don't change. Although me argue in my initial arguments, and I still argue that, if they say now money this stop nonsense, gentle forbidden beat Akisoya. So back to your question, what's responsible for the re-election of Akisoya? That can be a case study to answer your question. But let's just divert small. You will talk something very important, Serena, and that's not the issue of, I talk and sarcastically say why would they focus more attention on new or who's bad when you don't do that, then why would they focus? Now, there is this, I call them fundamental question for ask yourself, particularly the one that they say, hey, let's move on. ECSL and then get this power, and nobody not get a right for call results. Now, for them bookman them and they expert them, then doctor they will come out abroad for Canada for teach you but surveys and data analytics. My question, and I want to ask you that almost margin of error ECSL for commits, for what we say this result is acceptable or not acceptable. We never foster this question. Almost mistake ECL will make where we say, all right, this is acceptable. Or almost they not for make for say, because if we not keep that proportional balance there on the number of errors and the impact it gets on the overall outcome, then we might be saying, let we just left something and for go away to Mabambai. If we make election for the people and say we're not going to government again, when me at the big law not make election. Let me just call people and form broad-based government. Because that is not the essence of democracy. Democracy is for people, for them to challenge themselves, let the voices of the people be heard, let it be seen. So if we go vote, then it's not reflective in the opinions of the one that we say they're not going to government, then I beg law not the voting. Law doesn't get appointment, broad-based appointment, and will make our rotational by turn. Is that what we want? We must address the issues as ECSL. ECSL is not above reproach. And when we focus too much energy on them people and we for us it's right for challenge ECSL and we ask ECSL questions,